right, so one thing that I enjoyed doing in the last podcast was telling a personal story. Um, Obviously, it wasn't much of a deep personal story, but it was at least, an interesting and I'm hoping relatable personal story for us gamers, I'd hope. Especially collecting type gamers who like special consoles, because need I remind you, scalping is BS. It's terrible. I hate it. Never be a scalper. If there's anything you learn from this podcast audience, never scalp, because it makes you a terrible person. It's flat out, just makes you terrible. Not quite as bad as a murderer, but, worse than a jaywalker. Well, this time I would also like to tell a personal story, and I would like to mix the top two things in my everyday life, which are gaming and being here at college, at least for as long as I'm going to keep being here because of pandemic diseases. Now, I feel like I speak for everyone when I say that playing games online is fun. I mean, sure, there are some hiccups, and people can be big jerks online, and that can make people not want to play online, which sucks, but that's sad. But I would say, broadly speaking, the concept, at least, of playing a game online is a great idea. And even with those hiccups, especially in my case with the Switch, don't worry, this is not the Switch Online segment that I was saying I would do some other time, but rather I just want to talk about the problems that I have been facing here trying to play my Nintendo Switch Online, because it's been a real pain. So now, if you didn't know this, the way that Nintendo codes for the online aspects of their games is by making what's called a peer-to-peer connection. So what this means is that when you go online to play a game of Smash Brothers, right, you are literally connecting to the other player systems. And that's the way that they've done online connectivity as far back as the Wii and the DS. So that's also why if you get with a group online, Smash Brothers Brawl was infamous for having terrible lag, and it's gotten better with each entry, but you'll still, look at Super Mario Maker 2. That game is terrible to play online, all because one player's connection isn't all that great. Because Nintendo is using a peer-to-peer connection, whereas a lot of modern online games employ dedicated servers. So when you want to play, you connect to a server, and then you get matched up with other players. So the internet connection is mostly handled by the server instead of on your side, so connections tend to be better. Sure, you'll still run into some laggy matches, and you'll have players who drop out, but it's much less frequent with dedicated servers. Now here's the problem with trying to play online games in college for me. My university's internet does not allow for peer-to-peer connections. So that means the vast majority of online-enabled games that I own, I can't play online. So Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, probably the two games you want to play online the most if you're a Nintendo player like me. Even something like Puyo Puyo Tetris. Great puzzle game, by the way. I'd love to talk about that another time, but I'm getting off track. Those are three games that I just can't play online. There's other ones, like I can't play ARMS. I've been playing a lot of ARMS lately. I don't know, I've just been in the mood. I have had a couple of games work online. If you can think back, probably an hour and 10 minutes ago. If you're watching the whole podcast, I talked about Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. I have had that game work, which is great, because otherwise, that would have been even worse trying to get through the Grand Prix, and they were already a huge pain, even with being able to play online. I can play Tetris 99 online, for whatever. I don't know what's different about Tetris 99 compared to Puyo Puyo Tetris or Smash Brothers, but it works. So, at least those are a couple of games that I can play online. But why would I want to play those two games in particular all the time? I want to play those games that I mentioned. I want to play Mario Kart online. I want to play Smash Brothers. I want to play ARMS. I want to play Puyo Puyo Tetris, right? I mean, yeah, I want to play CTR and I want to play Tetris 99 online, but I want to play more than just that. And it's just, it sucks. It's not fun. And, I paid good money for the games, right? I paid $60 for Mario Kart. I paid $60 for ARMS and for Smash Brothers. I paid $40. No, it might be $30 or $40 for Puyo Puyo Tetris. And now I'm paying $20 a year to have an online service. And I can't use it in most of my games. And, probably the thing that sucks the most for me is that I am not really sure who to be upset with here, right? Because there's problems on both ends with this. On the one hand, you have Nintendo, who isn't using a modern form of online play because they're still doing peer-to-peer connections, which are just old and outdated. You really should have moved on to dedicated servers as far back as like Super Smash Brothers for Wii U, but they still haven't done so. But on the other hand, you also have my college here, just not flat out not allowing peer-to-peer connections. Like I've been once in a great moon been able to get through one game of Smash Brothers, but otherwise I haven't been able to because the connections aren't able to happen on here. And this is obviously something I've thought about for a while, which is part of why this segment is going to be so short, especially compared to the prior monstrously long segment. To really boil down my thoughts, and the conclusion that I've come to is that I'm just mad at both of them. Because I don't have control over either of these entities, so I'm just going to be upset at both, right? I can't change what Nintendo does. I mean, I can through consumer feedback, but like I don't know what to do. They've been doing this for years, and they still haven't changed it. And I can't really change what the university does because I don't get to make the tech policy. So I'm just going to be upset at both, and they can annoy me until I inevitably get my own place, and then all will be right in the world once again as a gamer who plays online. So, viewers, I'm going to do some engagement baiting here. I want to know what kinds of limitations you might have had or currently have in college that you don't like. I'm really curious about some of those past limitations because, I mean, college was super different even 20 years ago compared, 20 years ago in 2000. Got 30 years ago now is the mid-90s, so I'm sure there were very different limitations that you had that made college not as enjoyable as it could have been. But I also want to hear about some modern limitations that are just things that like I don't think of because they're just some things that I choose not to do that don't interest me. So yeah, let me know. And then I am ready to finally move on to the last topic of this podcast. An hour and 40 minutes in, basically. I will start that up next.